Hello, folks, and welcome to your Four Lads Friday night podcast. I'm your host this lovely evening, Andrew Stewart, and on this lovely evening, I've got two lovely guests. First of all, Amrit, how are you, mate?
I am fantastic, in spite of our current misfortunes as a Rangers fan, but I'm great, yeah. Glad to be on.
And also, my good buddy Calvin, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Been grafting hard all week before the big holiday comes, but was at the game last night. Disappointed, freezing, blustering. Nearly got blew back to the car with that wind, but we're here and we've made it. So let's crack on.
Yeah, we made it. We made it through the evening by the skin of our teeth. One thing I don't think we're going to make it through is the league phase of the Europa League, unfortunately, as we will get on to where we stand after last night's game. Quickly, just welcome everybody in. Thank you for joining us. Get your opinions of our last night's game in the chat. We'll get you some of your comments up on the screen. I'm sure we're all feeling the same way about a game like that last night. Right, we'll start just with the squad. I mean, I was on the supporters bus when I seen it, and I had a couple questions. I was a bit unsure. It was Butland in goal, Tav, Giga, Manuel Fernandes, Max Aarons, Connor Barron, Mohamed Diamande, Nicolas Raskin, Danilo, Chermiti, and Gesama. Uh, we've known the last couple of games that we were going to be handcuffed somewhat with injuries. Um, but for me, I mean, the first one that came to mind was Aarons. We're going to be at left back. And I was a bit shocked. I thought it was going back to what we've seen already with Max, is just the unwillingness to play a pass in his left foot, and I was worried how that would make us look through the 90 minutes. That was me personally. What was your kind of thoughts when you seen the squad announced?
To be honest, I sat there and looked at it and I was trying to figure out what our system was going to be and what the shape was going to be because there were so many different permutations looking at the personnel that were there. I thought, are we 3-5-2? Are we 4-3-3? Are we 4-3-2-1? It was really just trying to unpick how they were going to line up. But for me, the thing that stuck out was, again, a number of people out of position, really, Andrew, for me. You know, Aarons is not a left back. You made mention of that. He loves to come inside and just creates problems when he's coming inside, running into groups of players. He doesn't want to get out wide and create a bit of space. I don't understand why we're still playing Gasman out on the right hand side. He's far more effective coming off the left for me. And then you've got Danny as a left wing sort of front of a front three, and he's not effective there either. He's just nullified out there. He's better, I think, when he drops off a little bit and he's in the hole and he can try to link up play. So I was looking at the team and I was just a little bit just empty and just felt a bit deflated by the whole thing because I think we did have some better options on the bench. I mean, I keep on going on. We've got Curtis there, we've got Lyle Cameron there, we've got guys like that can come off the bench. For me, I think Miovski had to start instead of Chermiti because he was just an empty jersey last night. He doesn't really offer much. I don't know what they've seen in him because I can't get a glimmer of hope that says this laddie can play football or there's a spark in him or something that will hopefully give us some encouragement that he can build and become a good Rangers player who's going to give us 20-25 goals a season. I just can't see it, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean Chermiti, Calvin. It's one of these where you could see when he came off like in the game, how heavily strapped his leg was. It seemed that we were kind of the shoehorning of players in. I don't know if it's Chermiti needs to play. I know he's not a loan player, but it's almost as if he has the priority in European games. Um, the fact that as Amrit alluded to, Curtis on the bench. I know there's a bit of talk of him coming back from a knock, but even with that, you're playing Danilo on the left wing. That's taking away an option that you could maybe use through the middle. And again, obviously not picking Majowski either. It was a bit confusing, which I think that's one of these things where you maybe ask the manager as to what his thinking was by that one. I think we'll kind of go on to it later on as to the bigger landscape of how handcuffed the manager is. But what was your kind of thoughts on the kind of shoehorning of players?
I think when it comes to like Chermiti, it just seems to be they're forcing him to play in the hope that something eventually clicks. Like physically, he's got the aspects of what you'd look for in a striker, but what he does on ability-wise is far from it. I thought early on he got a good few flick-ons, which hopefully had needed runners come off them. Gassama was coming in too tight, those things. But that's just clutching at feathers for those ones. It's never going to work. His finishing's terrible. He missed a really good chance towards the end of the first half, it was. And you're just going, when's it ever going to click for him? And that's the thing that's killing me. It's £8 million rising to 10. I don't think they'll be getting the 10 at this rate if it's based on performances, because there's nothing there. He's got a bit of pace, that's about it. He's a big physical boy, but doesn't really trap the ball in. His headers, his passings are a bit over the place. His finishing's not great. I don't want to turn to a bit of bashing Kenny system on him tonight, but it's just everything that came in that summer with those kind of transfers, that sums it up. There wasn't any kind of directness. The scouting's poor. The decision's poor. It doesn't fit in with your ethos as a club. Like, you look at Miovski, last night was probably a game that suits him. The long ball in behind, that's what was on. We switched halves in the first half so we could get that long ball against the wind. That would have been perfect for Miovski. That's what he's made a career of. A long ball over the top, running into the space, getting on the last defender. That would have been perfect for him. Last night was the chance to see Miovski in a system that works for him. And it didn't happen. And even when he came on, he was sitting back because Chermiti was still on the park to begin with. And then by the time Chermiti did go off, it was too late. The team were kind of done, the legs were away, they weren't creating enough. All round disappointing night. Some small glimmers throughout, but it wasn't good enough in the whole. The general keeping the ball was terrible. Conditions weren't great. We all accept it, but there is things we expect, and it wasn't happening last night again.
Yeah, going into the game then, it was a very slow start. I think it took us 35 minutes to register our first shot, Amrit. In that time leading up to that, Horta has a shot where Butland's inside that goes through the legs of one of the defenders. We play a horrific, Max Aarons plays a horrific line and leaves Horta again. They're running behind. If Butland's not off his line quick enough, we're potentially 2 down within 30 minutes. It was kind of, I think we were maybe not ready almost. It's another one of these games where the slow start in the other team who you would expect coming into Ibrox or European night actually looks like they have the upper hand. I don't know if it's one of these things with this group of players, but a slow start that could have potentially killed us if it wasn't for Butland again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a thing. Butland, no doubt, has been our consistent player throughout the whole of the season so far. I think most Rangers fans would agree that it's a big save, that first one. Like you said, he's unsighted, he gets down, it's a strong right hand to palm the ball away. And the great thing is he's palmed it away out of the danger zone. It's not gone straight back to, the 6-yard box where somebody could tap it in. So that's a big, big save from Jack Butland. And then that one-on-one where the boy chips the ball over. Aarons is nowhere. I don't even know why Aarons is at right back at that point. Was it a managerial decision to put him at right and then Tav at left? Or did it just happen organically through passages of play where sometimes players get taken out of positions, they cover until they get an opportunity to then revert to where they're originally meant to be playing? I'm not sure. I didn't really catch enough of it, but great save again from Jack Butland. If he doesn't make those saves, the complexion of the game is very, very different. We know what we're like when we go a goal behind. So the fact that Jack Butland kept us in the game then gave us something to build on, because like you say, about 35 minutes in, we started to create a wee bit. We looked a bit more positive. That lovely ball from Tav into Dio. Dio's done well. He's beat his man, sort of turned him. And you just want him to lay that ball a yard or two in front of Danilo. Instead, it sort of goes square. Danilo, I think, wants to run onto it. Maybe it would have been a better opportunity. But even at that, for me, Danilo, the finish, it's almost like he was trying to finesse it in the top corner. He ended up back passing it to the goalkeeper effectively. I think either take a touch and go closer in and slam it into the net, maybe give the keeper the eyes and stick it in the near post, or, give a bit more power on the shot. But it was nothing in the end. It was just a bit of a moment, wasn't it, from Danilo? And then after that, Connor Barron down the left-hand side, great run, switches the play, Gasman hits the byline, across the box, ricochets out, and then Tav, you thought, oh, go on, Tav, a nice Tav special from the edge of the box, but not to be. And then I think we had that one where Danilo, I mean, again, running back after the corner. Connor Barron is running onto that ball, perfectly positioned to put his foot through it. It could hit off a defender, it could hit off a striker, it could go anywhere. But Danilo is like on the spin trying to do, I don't know who he thinks he is at this point, but you're not that player, Danilo. The best thing he could have done was get out the bloody way and let Barron put his foot through it. So for me, that just shows a bit of lack of awareness, a bit of naivety, a lack of maturity. And then we get that penalty straight after that. And I didn't know what was going on in the ground. VAR check for handball. I think we were all a bit surprised. And then I thought, yes, go on. James Henry Tavernier, cometh the hour, cometh the man, picks up that ball. Everybody was singing the James Tavernier song before he's even taken the penalty. In that moment for me, I thought, do you know what? Say what you want about the captain. Say what you want about James Tavernier. We all know his legs have gone. We all know he's older now. We all know he's not the player he once was. But even now, at 34-year-old, the captain is still carrying us on his back. He's still pulling something out of the fire for us, which is more than any of these other duds have ever done. And he's done it consistently for a decade now for Rangers. So I take my hat off to the man. And then obviously second half, you know, we know what happened. It looked like they went that we went down to 10 men at one point, and it was just really disappointing. But I'll let Calvin chip in on the second half because I've spoke more than enough.
I like that you just got into the flow, and I was like, this is interesting. We're just we're following this as it's going. Obviously, Calvin, that from 35 minutes, that the Danilo chance. I mean, it's one of those chances that, if you get it and it falls to you the way it did, the two passes in between Tav to Dio, as Amrit said, the nice spin, he kind of plays it behind them, and Danilo's waiting, and by that time, it's given the Braga defence enough time to get back. It's one of these chances that when you get the final result like we did, you look back on. I mean, in hindsight, that's what you're thinking. At the time, you know, as Amrit said, we then go on to have a nice spell of play, attack, and really put them under pressure, resulting in the penalty. Tav puts us ahead at half time. What's your thoughts there? You know, we've kind of ridden the storm, or rode the storm, and now we have a lead from it. It was the perfect time to score.
I think that's exactly it. We got over the hard bit. They were dominating large spells. Our passing wasn't great. We weren't putting in the correct final ball. We weren't taking chances when they got them. And we got that break. And we thought, is this the time? And then they started the second half quite well as well. They got right on them. And then the fans kind of went with them. There was a chance. It was like with the corner, the save from the keeper. And it was, you could actually hear the Broomlins starting to pick themselves back up again with that one. And then all of a sudden, roundabout with the red card, things changed. You thought, how have we went for 11 against 10 and looked like we were down to 9? Because they always had a spare man. They were constantly finding gaps in the defence, and that's the big thing. We've put ourselves in the back foot so many times. We'd show a lack of composure on the ball. When we've got chances to keep the ball, we gift it away. We've seen that a lot of times playing out for the back last night. The passing was abysmal, real abysmal. Like, there was one of the Giga who was just having to pass it 5 yards out towards Tav, hit it straight to their winger. There was just things like that. It seems to me too many players they start to believe that they're good enough again when they're really not. And the attitude of the players isn't great. I mentioned it in the chat last night. It was when Gassama went down, holding his rib, claiming for a knock from the left back that was on a sugary peg a lot, by the way. He was lucky to probably get away with just a yellow in that game because he was play acting and putting in some very late challenges. But Gassama just didn't come back into the game. He just lay on the floor for a good couple of minutes and eventually came in. Tav bailed him out, got the ball to play, and Tav berated him. And it wasn't about ability, it was about his attitude to get back in and help the team. And you don't see Tav kind of doing that too often, but he knows what it means in these types of nights, and he gave it to Gassama something awful, and it was well deserved. And there was a lot of other players that could have got that exact same treatment. There's too many players that think they're better than what they are in this squad, and that's the thing we're all starting to notice. They go drifting in and out of games, and it's not good enough. They need to give 100% every single minute on that park, especially when they aren't getting the results that we need.
Yeah, I think also Tavernier's reaction after the goal would give away. I think that's another one where you are seeing the emotion from him. Before that, obviously, the goal we conceded, there's the red card. It was one I completely missed, Amrit. I was just not looking at that section of the park. I believe there was I know because I remember at the time that it was a red card the last time we played Braga at home, and it was incredibly silly. this one probably takes the cake for just the most ludicrous thing you've seen. I mean, with the VAR in play nowadays, especially in Europe, everything's scrutinised. You know, I'm actually blown away as to how he thought he was going to get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Raskin's played the game there. We know exactly. Raskin knew what he was doing. I think it was clever. It gave us an advantage. But like you, my attention was down. I think it was in the left back area. There was a foul, and the referee was busy, and everybody's attention was directed over there. And then I looked over, and I just saw Raskin lying on the floor, and I thought, what's going on here? But listen, that played into our hands. It worked out really, really well. But the problem is we didn't capitalise on it. And that's what Calvin was saying there. We did not capitalise on the fact that we went up to, we had a man advantage. We should have been spreading the play. We should have been stretching them as much as possible, getting those 10 of Braga to work as hard as they possibly can and just chip away at them, get their conditioning down, get their tiredness levels up so that we can then exploit them. But we didn't do that. They looked better with 10 men than we did with 11. And that was really, really disappointing. And then Dio goes down, and gets sent off. Was it a second yellow card? Absolutely not. I think it was really, really harsh. But the thing for me is, regardless of whether that was a yellow card, when he got a yellow carded originally, it was reckless, it was naive, it was stupid, it was immature. It was just after we scored, and he's ran across and he's taken the boy out, and it's a nothing tackle. And for me, I'm thinking, when you do that, you put yourself in a position and you run the risk of getting sent off, and that's exactly what happened. And the sad thing is, Andrew, is that if you look at it, Danny Röhl took off Connor Barron around, I think, 75th minute or something like that. For me, Connor Barron was the best player on the park yesterday for me. I think he did brilliant. He was everywhere. He was breaking up the play. He was giving you 100%. I thought he did really, really well. I can't understand why Danny took him off. The only thing I thought of was perhaps because Barron was also on a yellow card. He thought, okay, this could be a danger position for us. Let's pull him. But then it turned out that it was the other guy on a yellow card that got sent off, which was unfortunate. So, I don't know why Barron got taken off, because for me, Asgard was just a waste of time. Drifts in and out of games. I think Calvin made the mention. There's a lot of players that do that. The game sort of just passes him by. It's almost like he's not even there. He's just a phantom, just an empty jersey. So I didn't really get that. It was good for Miovski to come on, but what can this guy do if he's getting thrown crumbs towards the end of the game? How much can he actually impact and influence it? I think you've got to give him a bit of a start, and for me, he should have been there instead of Chermiti.
Well, we're now 17 and a half minutes in, and we haven't mentioned the goal we conceded in depth. I have to give credit to Alan McCoist. He did his absolute best to suggest there was a gust of wind to take the pressure off of Giga, but Jesus Christ, lads. Calvin, I'll start with you. The words head loss that just sprung to me immediately. It's like everything you could have did wrong there, he did. I mean, it's the perfect flick to get it away from Tav. From Tav's reaction, I mean, it was speculation because I don't know what gets said, but I would have maybe suggested that Tav's telling him it's his and to leave it because it's so far behind him. It's almost closer to Tav by the time it drops. But that flick, it just takes Tavernier right out of the game, and it leaves the number 77, who was a pain in the arse for the 90 minutes. It gives him an open goal, essentially, just a one-on-one. It was perplexing, Calvin. It was head and hand stuff.
It's one of the ones where you see a defender, it's just the confidence is away, his decision making was totally gone throughout the game, and it's just rash. He's tried to put his head on it without really reading the situation, ignoring the defender behind him, not being aware of anything that's happening around him is probably the best way to describe it. And it's something that we've seen from our defence all season. It's the mistakes that we make are the ones that cost us, because like I said before, the big problem is we don't score enough goals, and then we concede that one chance, it tends to go in the back of the net, and it was the exact same there. Their decision making isn't good at all. And I had big hopes for Giga. I thought coming in, good pedigree, played for Red Star, played European football, big transfer fee, had all we were getting told he had all these makings of the things he had a good centre half for in Scotland. But he's been a bomb scare. Like, it's been really upsetting watching that type of kind of player. First day of training, goes in, blood over the head, Terry Butcher style band. Welcome to Rangers was the statement, and now look at him, just flicking the air over the ball. That's kind of where it is now. And you've seen it after the kind of that decision. The passing was gone. He was getting frustrated with everything that he did. He needs to take out the firing line, but unfortunately for him, we don't really have any options. I know Sterling, etc. is back, Inciala's there. They played for under 19s the other night. He needs to take out the squad for his own good as well as ours at this situation, because he doesn't look like he's got any confidence in his own ability at all. And there is obviously rumours that if we do have options, he could be back at Wolves in January. I don't think anybody would bat an eyelid if he did sneak out the back door.
Obviously, that it's an awful goal to concede, but it comes from a back pass from Fernandes to Butland, which is just a wild pass, which leaves Butland scrambling. He manages to get there and put it out for the throw that we then concede from, but the pairing together, I mean, the warning signs were there at Levy, although Fernandes scores, and he did look relatively bright, but the pairing, when you've not got a lot of faith in your partner, the nerves start to kick in, the entire line, Tav, again, we spoke about Tav, I thought he was good, but then you've got your makeshift left back, Manuel Fernandes, who was his first game in Europe, and Nasajiga, who seems to be short of confidence. It's hardly, the solid backline of, a Katic and Goldson, in Europe, where Katic just wants to win everything and Goldson's happy with the ball at his feet. We just look worried anytime the ball is coming towards us, or we have the ball at feet, as Giga misplaced as a pass after his mistake. It was just there was too many warning signs for that to continue, especially if we're going to talk about the team at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that back four, Andrew, none of them will be at the club next year apart from Fernandes, and even Fernandes probably won't be a starter if you look at it that way. I can remember when the ball went out for a throw and I thought, oh, brilliant, we've got away with one there when Butland managed to stop it going for a corner, because it was a corner. It should have been a corner. And I thought, okay, that's brilliant, it's a throw in. And then the ball comes in. I mean, the whole thing for me is just absolutely perplexing, because your man Jigga doesn't have anybody around him. No Rangers players, no Braga players. He's got 2 or 3 metres squared around him. There's no pressure on the ball. He's got a clear sight of where the ball is coming from. I don't know how much communication there was at the back. I don't know if Butland is saying to him, listen, son, you've got time. I don't know if Tav's giving him a shout or whatever. And then he's just misjudged it in flight completely. And it's an absolute howler for a professional footballer to do that. I feel sorry for the lad, I do, because he did come over to the fans at full time and you could see he was hurting and he tried to apologise. And I commend him for that action, I really do, because that's a hard, lonely thing to do, to go over and apologise on your own. So he has my respect for that. So, but there's no ill feeling towards the boy. I'm sorry. We accept your apology, but you are just not of the quality that's required at Rangers. That's the reality, Andrew. So, yeah, and as far as the pairings are concerned at the back, I think Fernandes has a lot of the attributes that I think we can build on, and perhaps, fingers crossed, he turns into a bit of a player for us. He's a big, strong lad. I mean, nobody's winning a 50-50 or an aerial duel with that guy. He's an absolute monster. So I think if he had a more experienced or seasoned professional next to him, I think that might give him the confidence to develop his skills a little bit more, because at the moment he doesn't have that security. So I think if he can get games under his belt where someone's giving him instruction and feedback who's been there and done it, I think that'll help to bring him on, hopefully. But I think we really need to look at doing that, because we've spent 3.5 million on him. We need to get a return on our investment.
Yeah, Calvin, staying with that, I mean, Emmanuel Fernandes, I mean, he scored a really good goal. He's got the towering header, big lad, the physical attributes, that, as it was pointed out in the comments as well, it's this is the kind of things that we want from our centre-backs. The willingness to get involved in the battles, because they're never short of these kind of physical strikers we come up against. I'm thinking about Nubly at Livy from a few seasons ago. Even the striker Ying at the weekend, Livy, big lad. It's something they're going to face week in, week out. And I think you can develop Manuel Fernandes. I think obviously he's not 19 or 20 levels of young player, but he's 23. So by centre back and by position, you've got 10 years, 12 years. Think of how long centre backs can go for nowadays. If we were to pair him, say, with a Leon Balogun the seasons past, somebody that's just that mature, knows the game, there's no reason why he can't grow. My issue is then you had Giga, who's here for experience, so therefore he's lacking it. Max Aarons, who isn't naturally there, he isn't a natural left back. you're only setting yourself up for failure, and that's what I was kind of, worried by. But even in itself, if you were to take out Aarons, you're playing a 19-year-old in Jaden Magoma, which is now where you start to lead into recruitment. This is the debate we've had so long. The recruitment was poor. That was a perfect example of it. The fact that you were so short of any sort of depth that you were just making do with what you had, and we felt the brunt of it.
It's the problem we all highlighted in the summer. We expected a strong core of the team. The spine was meant to be resolved. It wasn't at all. We expected a lot more for Joe Rothwell, if you look at Middle Park as well, and we expected somebody to come out the back. It was all the Connor Cody talk, and then after that, there wasn't much, and youth came in instead. It needs to be addressed in the summer, because boys like Fernandez, who has got attributes, he's got the physical makeup, a really good centre back in the SPL. He needs somebody that can talk him through the game, and I don't think even the likes of Suter can do it. Suter sometimes needs coached through the game as well. He's prone to errors. With a calm head that's been there and done it. The sad reality is we need winners, and winners aren't cheap, and we need to be able to get return on investment in the players that then allows us to get that. You're looking at the Bosmans. It's hard to get those types of players in January. There was a couple that came in a good few years ago now, the David Weir Negiog scenario in the January, but that's what they went in when we need to go resolve this, and they got them on cheap, experienced players. This is what we need to look at now. When it goes into January, we need to address that spine of that team. We need to find probably 2 centre-halves, because Cornelius looks like he's not out. He's not going to be here for the rest of the season. His contract will probably be sent back to Marseille, because he probably won't play this season if the rumours are true. Suter, we know he's always got an injury in him. We need depth and quality and experience. That's what the main target should be in January, especially for boys like Fernandez, because if he did have a Balogun, he did have a Goldson, he did have that type of player next to him, you could see him shining a bit. He's very composed, he's relaxed, which can get him into bother sometimes. We know that in centre-halves, when they get too relaxed, he can get caught. But he's obviously got that confidence to do it. But having the likes of Giga, who's confidence shot next to him as well, with not a lot of experience, it's not going to help him develop either. And the thing is, we've bought Fernandez. When you've bought a player, they need to come before the loan priorities at this stage, because we need to develop them. Like Armit said, we need to get that return. And the only way you're going to get a return on a player is playing, winning, and getting trophies.
Definitely. This is one of these things, you could have made that argument with Mikey Moore early in the season that we're doing the development for Spurs, when you've got your own Finlay Curtis, who hadn't put a foot wrong in any of the appearances he'd played for Rangers. That obviously not so less much. Mikey Moore seemed to come on under Danny Röhl, but is obviously injured. We kind of discussed Curtis. I think there's a unanimous feeling that what's wrong with the lad? Why can he not get in this team? He's certainly done enough. As a whole, painful night. And again, in this competition, Amrit, 1 point from 5 games. It's a -7 goal difference, which is poor. You think of, this season as a whole, it's been very poor. But in the Europa League, even last season when we weren't brilliant, we were still managing to get results and progress through. But sitting lowly 33rd there, only Nice, who have lost 5 from 5 on 0 points. It's about as bleak as it can look. You've now got to go away, like your wounds, in the league campaign, but it was a long shot. But to have any sort of real hope, you kind of had to think about getting more than a point last night, especially at home.
Yeah. Does anybody want my ticket for Ferencváros? I'll give it away, an early Christmas present. But no, when I was in Bran, I was thinking to myself, there's no way we're going to win our last remaining 4 games. And that's exactly what happened. We couldn't even get over the first hurdle and get 3 points against Braga. So now what are we looking at? A potential of 10 points if we win our remaining 3 against Braga, Ludogorets, Ferencváros and Porto. There is absolutely no way that we're going to win those 3 games. I mean, mathematically, I think we could get the 10 points. Of course we could, and that might get us through. But realistically, there's absolutely no way we're winning. That squad of players that we currently have are winning those 3 games. So I think we just write off the Europa League, to be honest. I think if we can put a positive spin on last night, perhaps it could be the fact that now we don't have the distraction of the Europa League. If we were just to park that and say, listen, that's done, accept it, move on. I'm not saying that we should have this defeatist attitude as Rangers fans or as a Rangers team, but if we just accept that the reality is we're not going to progress and put all of our energy in trying to get as far up this blooming league as we can, because here's a prediction for you. I truly believe, oh God, this is going to get screenshotted and sent back at me in 6 weeks' time, but I truly believe that if we win every single game between now and the first week of January in the league, we will be, I think, only a couple of points off the top. That's what I believe. If we win every single game between now and the first week of January. So there we go. That's my prediction. So we've got a lot of fixtures coming up, Andrew. You know, a lot of games between now and then, big games. You know, we've got Hibs, we've got Hearts, we've got Celtic, we've got Aberdeen twice in 5 days or whatever it is at the start of January as well. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. So we really need to just throw our energy now into the league and do what we can to get as high up it as we possibly can.
Yeah, I mean that is the way that I think most people see it. That this is done and dusted, and there's not going to be a progression for us. I think it's the first time in God knows how long that we haven't made it through some sort of first stage, whether it be the old group stage or the league phase as it is now. You know, French Varos, they're sitting sixth, Porto are in eighth, and Ludogorets just outside of the playoffs in 25th, so they'll also be wanting to sneak in there. They're on 6 points. It doesn't look likely at all, Calvin. But it's one of these where you've got to play the games. There's no way around it. Well, you're going to have to go for it at least in the next game, I think. In my opinion, I think the next game makes or breaks it. I think mathematically that is the case, obviously. But if it being Porto on the last day, you could potentially, if you go and get a result against Ludogorets and French Varos, and this is all if, because as we have noted, I mean, we couldn't beat Bran in this competition. If you were to somehow get through, you then have Porto in the final match day of the league phase. At what point do you throw in the towel? Have you thrown it in already?
I don't think as Rangers we can ever throw in the towel. One result can change everything, but we need a lot of things to go away at the same time. Players should never be accept not going out there to get 3 points on the performance. They need to go out there and perform. They need to show the fans that they're good enough and that they care. We need to show that every single time. Listen, we've bet better teams before, but we also probably had a better team in our own park as well. That's the biggest issue. The quality isn't there for Rangers at the minute in terms of what we've brought in, what they're showing, what they're delivering in the park. These players need to go out there and perform for the fans, because regardless of everything, we've still supported them through all the poor performances that they've had. They've showed up every single time. We've went home and away. They can't let us down in the sense that they don't turn up on the performance. They need to be there. They need to put in 100%. And that's at this stage, that's all we're asking for. We're asking them to turn up, put everything they've got in, shows that they want to go get the 3 points, and we'll be there to support them. Not throwing the towel personally, but it's going to be a tough battle. And that's, but the players need to go out there and show that they can deliver for us.
Yeah, it's the finding that nice happy medium between this is probably over, but not letting your face show that it's probably over. That being said, we'll park the European talk. We have Falkirk on Sunday. A game which in the return leg was the final nail in the coffin for Russell Martin. The famous police escort out of the Falkirk Stadium. A good day for Rangers after what came after it. The game itself, it was a terrible watch, as was most of the previous manager's tenure. A lot of questions. I think we've discussed players from last night's team, which then leaves you the question marks for the team that you maybe see on Sunday. For me, I mean, the substitutions that came on it's difficult with the timings, but I didn't see a lot of any of them. You could make the argument that if you're going to drop Jamaica, you could play Danilo as a striker. You maybe push Gassama to the left and maybe bring in Oliver Antman. And you'd have your two wingers. You could discuss the midfield three not being good enough, and you can make some rotation in there potentially. There's a lot of question marks after a performance like Thursday evening, and that's probably 50-50 as to it's a good thing because you will see rotation, but a bad thing is we're then whittling through the resource we have that the manager has only got so many players, and if you're running out of players you can trust, then we're going to go in this violet circle of he's good, he's not, he's good, he's not.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Andrew. He can only work with what he's got, Danilo. He can only work with the players that are there, unfortunately. I think if we're looking at that squad at the moment, Raskin's been off the boil for a bit now. He's just not the player that we know he can be. So is there an argument to maybe drop him and bring someone else in? Do we give Rothwell another kick at the ball? I mean, I know he's had a few chances. Do we bring him back in from the cold? Is it an opportunity for Lyle Cameron to get in there? We're going to need a lot of workers in that team on Sunday because I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I'm a Falkirk boy. I was brought up in Falkirk, so I've spent a lot of time watching them, and I'm actually a Falkirk season ticket holder as well. So I've seen them a few times this season, and I was in the Falkirk end for the Rangers game because I couldn't get a ticket for the Rangers end. So, but listen, I can remember that day well, and we were awful that day. We really, really were. We weren't great at all. And Falkirk are a really good team at the moment. They've absolutely exceeded expectations in this league. I think if anybody said that they'd be in the top half when we're almost halfway through the season, nobody would have believed you. So they've done well, brilliantly. They have exceeded expectations. They play a lovely, attractive brand of football, which I really, really like. They like to get the ball wide. They like to hit the byline, give it to the wingers. It's almost like those old school 90s teams that I'm not going to say that we grew up watching, but that I grew up watching. So like your Arsenals, your Man United with, your Kanchelskis or your Giggsy or Freddie Lundberg and Pires and these type of guys that were flair players. I mean, I'm not comparing Calvin Miller with them, not just yet, but they've got Calvin, if you're watching, you are Robert Pires reincarnated. No, but genuinely, they like that exciting brand of football and they play with no fear. They're not great at the back, but then neither are we. So I think they'll come on Sunday and they'll have the bit between their teeth because we all know nobody is scared to come to Ibrox anymore. Doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what league they're in. We don't have that same imposing fear on teams that come to face us anymore. So they are definitely going to come full of confidence, buoyant, and feel like they can get a result. And we're going to have to be at it from the start. And I think a couple of changes in that team are definitely warranted. The problem at the moment, Andrew, is that you have players in the Rangers team that are there not based on merit but out of necessity because we do not have the depth and the quality of the type of players we want to get in. So he's having to put certain players in certain positions and players that he doesn't really trust. But this is where I would say, well, if you don't trust these guys, give us Lyle Cameron, give us Curtis. Please, Danny, if you're watching, go and just play Lyle Cameron and Curtis on Saturday. Just do it. It can't be any worse than what we've got. Please, Danny, we trust you. We trust your judgment, but go and just give them a wee run.
Calvin, I feel like the pressure is somewhat off me now. I feel like I can sprout as much Matondo propaganda as I want, and
You never can. Never ever.
I'll be home and hosed and completely in the clear. Not only has Amrit outed himself as a Falkirk season ticket holder, he also mentioned an ex-Celtic player in Freddie Lundberg. So it's a double whammy.
Pal.
Aye, Calvin Miller, ex-Celtic as well. Jeez, I'd forgotten about that as well. I could take it easy now. But back to Sunday, it's one of these. I mean, the Ibrox should be a place. 9 times out of 10, you roll the team over. Livingston was a really good example of we went to the Spaghetti Had. It's not even called that anymore, but in memoriam, or we'll call it the Spaghetti Had. And you only won in the last minute. We went to Falkirk and we threw that away. It was a stunner, but we could have held on to it if we were just sturdy enough mentally. I think we caved in and they scored a screamer, and that was the end. At Ibrox, we managed to. The Livingston game was a tough watch, but we managed to get what we wanted. Falkirk, I have a feeling, may just be the same at home. I think it's going to be another tough watch as a whole, but I'm hoping the result will be there. It's just one of these where, in the same way that the Livingston game away happened, it was a last minute, Max Aidens of all people finding the winner. It might have to go down to the wire, which obviously isn't acceptable. We've made several pods about how we should be doing so much better, but to stay in this kind of title hopeful race, 3 points is 3 points. You don't get extras for making it look good. I want to put that on a shirt. I've said it so much over the last vlog and the last few podcasts. 3 points is the must, and if it comes off of somebody's arse and goes in the net, you take it. But I'm being too hopeful and hoping for some sort of improvement in personnel at the weekend.
I think that's the big thing. We don't care how we get the 3 points. We just make sure we get them. That's where we're at this stage. This is about getting through to January and seeing anything that can happen. The players have been on a decent run in the league. Let's not say the performances are good, but they have dug in deep over the last few weeks and managed to pick up 3 points on regular occasion. We know Falkirk can't go to change the way they play. John McGlynn's got his sets his spit out of the day, sets his stall with his passing football, dominates, hit the wings, as you said there, Armit. That could work into our favours at Ibrox, but we've seen that backfire plenty of times this season already. I'd like to see us go two up top. I'd go Miovski with Danilo just off them, because I think that's what Danilo, you get the best out of Danilo. He pulls into those wee gaps. That allows Miovski to be the man in behind. I don't think Falkirk is going to sit in and let us have the ball and pass it around. They're going to want to make their own chances. So this could be a chance where you get to see that partnership looking well. Curtis deserves his chance. Nobody else has stepped up and made that shot their own. Whether that's on the left or the right, I don't really care. I just think he should be getting his chance on the park to prove himself. And as a young Rangers fan, you know he's got to give you 100%, unlike some other people we've seen in the jersey this season. Preferably, he'd move to the right. Gassama returns to his preferred left, where he has most of our influence. 2 in the middle of the park with one of our fullbacks dropping in to help in there when we get the ball. That's more what we need. 4-4-2, the way we've seen a few times, has been effective for us. I think it's the time to do it. Like, we don't have that many options in the middle of the park at the minute. We don't have many defensive options that are reliable. So the more bodies we can get up the park, hopefully creating chances, it's the time to do it. Falkirk are going to come at us. That's the way they play football. They aren't changing. They've done it at Celtic, they've done it at Hearts, they've done it at Hibs, done it at Aberdeen. It doesn't matter. That's the way they're going to play. So we need to fight fire with fire, because defensively we haven't been great. We don't have many options. So let's see what our boys have got going forward. And it is, like you've said there, a chance for maybe a Lyle Cameron to come out of the park, give us some legs, and somebody that likes to move the ball forward. I would like to see the Rangers team move the ball forward for once. I'm sick of the horseshoe style that we've seen for God knows how many seasons now. I want to see an aggressive.
Carried away, Calvin. That's not what we do. We don't
do
that
kind of stuff. It's got to be a dream. That's what I dream about. A Rangers team that attacks. I only get it when I play Football Manager. That's the only time, and it works for me. So why can't it work for Danny Röhl?
Well, as we've learned, Football Manager is a dangerous thing to base your club off.
It's a dangerous thing, but it's the only thing I get to enjoy these days.
I think Mr. Thelwell was hitting the old director of football available for loan strategy, because that's put us right in the hole.
Transfers from Kevin.
Jesus Christ! Aye, just when you thought you weren't going to have to say his name or think about him ever again. Yep, his handiwork continues to stab us in the back. But as I think, as we've said, it's needs must. You win, and then you've got Dundee United in the league away to Tannadice. Difficult, and you go to Rugby Park. It's a tough run, Amrit, but we need to just try and grind it out game after game.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you both made the point. We don't care about the performances at this stage. I'm not saying that's always going to be the case, but at the moment, to try and build some momentum to get us further up that league, I think we've just got to try and get the results. I mean, Mourinho won a league at Chelsea just with 1-0s and 2-1s and not playing a great, attractive brand of football either. So it can be done, and I think we've just got to do that. Be hard to beat, be compact, reduce the gaps between our players so that we're nice and compact and hard to play through, and do what we can in that regard, because we really need to just take each game as it is. Not an easy place to go to, on a Wednesday night as well. It's going to be absolutely pouring down. It's going to not be a great drive up there. I'm not looking forward to it on Wednesday. But Falkirk went there last week and won 3-0, remember? And, so they did really, really well up there. And then we're at Rugby Park on the Saturday, 8 o'clock. Who came up with that fixture? I'm just like, please, 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Like, really? So I'm not looking forward to going to that either. But and then we've got a lot of tough games and a really busy running. So I think one game at a time. I know it's the old cliche, but one game at a time. Let's not get too hung up on the performances, but we just need to get some grit, some fight. I mean, you guys are playing for Rangers. Give us something to hang our hat on. Just play with a bit of passion, a little bit of fight, a bit of desire. Get stuck in. Show us why you're a Rangers player. Give us something to support. That's all we want from these guys.
Yeah, is it too much to ask for? Only time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in live. Some really good numbers in the live show. Thank you to anyone listening back as live. Just thank you for your comments. Some good points through the night. Just take 3 points any way we can is the motto at the moment. Last but not least, my two brilliant guests. Amrit, thank you for joining me. I wasn't ready for that Falkirk bombshell, but thank you nonetheless for your positivity throughout the show. It's managed to get me through it.
No problem at all, mate. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just revealing parts of my character in stages because I think if I give you all in a one, I think I'll get kicked off the pod. So it's just very, very gradual. There's a process here, Andrew.
Tune in next week for another shocking reveal. I think it's the the next one. We're going to start clickbaiting with Amrit reveals. But last but not least, Calvin, buddy, thank you as always for coming on. Again, making my Friday evening a bit better after last night.
Thanks, mate. It's a pleasure. I'm sure we'll see the Bobby Burns edition ice cream next week on the pod anyway, so we'll deal with that when it comes.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God, a nice laugh to end it on. Thank God for that. Again, just thank you for tuning in. Obviously, you can also pay to become a member on this channel for extra content, ad-free shows, and also everybody's favourite, if I can find them. You have stickers, which I think I'll have to put I'll need to find this beauty of me as a 12-year-old. I don't know, but why it's continuing to be used. Stevie smiling. I think we all wish to be back at, I think it was Parkhead away after the Igaman winner. A smiley face for a Rangers win, or as we're kind of all feeling with Kenny, depressed. But and also you could also be Calvin in a few weeks' time. But moving swiftly on, all the goodies of becoming a member, £1 a month, it's much appreciated. But even if you're not wanting to do that, a subscription on YouTube, pressing subscribe and a like, that goes a long way as well. Really good numbers on the show this year through a very tough season, and that's never forgotten. We cannot appreciate you enough. But thank you for tuning in. Let's see how the weekend goes, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. See you later.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.